All right, guys, the Breeders' Cup Distaff, to me, I don't think anybody would argue the best finish of the entire weekend. At every step of the way, you thought it was Blue Stripe, maybe Clairiere gaining, and Malathaat at the wire. A reverse from what we saw in last year's Breeders' Cup Distaff. But Aaron, I'll go to you first. This finish, what was your initial reaction?
Oh, yeah. I mean, this was an unbelievable finish to the race. Malathaat, you just really never felt like she was going to get there, but you never felt like she was completely out of it. And it's like, oh, this is going to be the most Malathaat loss ever if she loses this race, because it feels like she's supposed to win it. Clairiere saving all the ground. You thought that horse was going to win for a minute, and you're right. You thought Blue Stripe was as well for a little bit. I mean, it was just three horses that I didn't really feel like really wanted to go up there and do it. And then Malathaat's able to get the nose down. From a finish perspective, this was probably the best race of the weekend.
Yeah, phenomenal finish. I probably would have made Malathaat 20-1 midway down the stretch because I'd seen her lose this race at least 5 times in the last 10 tries of hers, because she just seemed like she was going to hang again. And Clairiere looked like she was just rolling up the rail and going to be the horse that gets the Blue Stripe. Malathaat somehow gets her nose down in the final, I don't know, maybe 1/32 of a mile when she actually surges by these two, gets her nose down on the wire just at the right time, wins a very tight photo. It was a lot closer than it looked in real time. I thought Malathaat won easy real time in the photo. She got a Blue Stripe got a decent bob there and almost out-bobbed her. But, hey, good for Malathaat. Wish she would have done it last year instead of this year, but we're still happy she was able to get the job done. What was going on with Nest in that ride, guys? I mean, that's the one takeaway. Like, you never see Irad do this, but man, I don't think Nest ever had a shot in this race because of how wide she was on the first turn and just the overall trip she ended up getting here.
Horrible ride. I mean, and for no reason. That's the thing. Sometimes you get forced wide and it's like, well, he got forced wide, and that is what it is. You had horses the inside of you. No, it was a terrible ride. He don't put this one on the record books there, Irad. That was bad. I don't know what he was doing on her. I don't know why we hung her out so wide for so long. That's the thing. If you get wide into the first turn, well, then try to save ground into the second turn. And another thing, why was she so far back? This horse was like Secret Oath was ahead of this horse. The horse was 7th down the backside. This was horrific. Maybe she didn't show up with like her A race, but this was bad. This was a really bad ride, and she had no chance.
It doesn't feel like you got to see whether or not she showed up with her A race. It felt like you just throw your hands up if you had Nest, who was unfortunately the favorite in this spot around 3-2. You have no idea whether or not you had the right horse or not, just because of how they played out. You mentioned Secret Oath. I mean, this was an interesting race in my mind, just because you had so many different points of this race. You felt like certain horses could win. When Secret Oath made that move on the turn, I'm like, are we finally going to see Secret Oath show up here? Especially because we knew Nest was basically just spinning her wheels at that point. And then you have Blue Stripe come up, and it looked like this was Blue Stripe's race for a good portion of the stretch until Clairiere and Malathaat showed up right toward the end.
Well, I'll tell you this. I think if Secret Oath hadn't ran in 30 million races this year, she would have won, because I think she turned for home with her mind on business, thinking, I'm going to win this thing. And I think that just wall of race after race after race from her finally not finally, she'd been looking tired for a while, but just got to her, and she just couldn't finish the race. She looked like $1 million for a long time. And that's, well, not a long time, but for a little bit of time there in the stretch, and just couldn't finish. But yeah, look, I think you have to give credit for Malathaat. The last 3 races here this season, she really kind of turned a corner and was able to find a way to finish her races much, much better. And she was able to do it one more time here. What a battle. And what I really give Steve Asmussen a good amount of credit for Clairiere. Got her back, not the ideal circumstances coming into this race, the disaster up at Saratoga and couldn't get a race. Finally gets here, and she ran her race. She almost got there.
Yeah, I think this is a great example, too, for anyone who asks, like, hey, why do some people add blinkers to horses that aren't necessarily speed horses or want to be forwardly placed? Malathaat, the addition of blinkers 3 back made all the difference in the world for this horse. You saw her one race with blinkers, kind of get used to it. The second and third and fourth starts have been phenomenal with blinkers. And that is what I believe made the difference of why she didn't hang again here and it was able to get the job done.
Yep. I definitely agree. It's made a big difference for her. And like I said, this did feel like it was going to be the hang job of all hang jobs, but give her credit. She was able to get it done. And you know, the difference between us being on here and just saying, my goodness, is a nose, right? She's a nose away from us going, oh, what a hang job.
What a
And it's
terrible
like,
hang job, yeah.
Yeah, it said, oh, you're the distaff winner. Great job, you know?
Well, I will say the good news is we're not going to see all of these horses return. Blue Stripes just sold for $4 million after this race. So nice little, I guess, consolation prize for missing win and distaff by a nose. Malathaat expected to retire, not official yet, but Clairiere, Nest, and Secret Oath and Society all expected to come back next year, which means this older distaff division could be taken off again. Secret Oath was entered in the sale, and they decided, nope, we're going to pull her out and run her again at age 4. So Nest, Secret Oath, Society, let's keep it going at age 4. Let us know what you think about the distaff and the horses in the comments below. We'll see you at the track.